Hi everyone. This is part 3 of Psalm 18, and today we're going to be looking at verses 21 through 30, and it reads like this: For I have kept the ways of the Lord, I am not guilty of turning from my God. All his laws are before me, I have not turned away from his decrees. I have been blameless before him, and have kept myself from sin. The Lord has rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands in his sight. To the faithful, you show yourself faithful. To the blameless, you show yourself blameless. To the pure, you show yourself pure. But to the devious, you show yourself shrewd. You save the humble, but bring low those whose eyes are haughty. You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light. With your help, I can advance against the troop. And with God, I can scale a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in him. Isn't that powerful? So, point number 1, and I like this. God's righteousness is on you. And what's interesting about this point is that, and really in the passage and what David is articulating, when you look at these first few verses in particular, is, because one of the things I was thinking about in reading this, I was like, wait a minute, David is speaking rather highly of himself, isn't he? Paul said we all we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. So how is it that David is able to say all of these things, about his character and his standing with God? Well, it's because David recognized the doctrine of grace, and as did Job, we're going to see in a second. But essentially, what he's helping us to understand, that we have the benefit of the New Testament. David did not, but he understood he understood God in such a way that he didn't need the New Testament to recognize that despite of his deficiencies as a human being, the righteousness of God made up for all of those deficiencies. That's what he's saying. That's how he's able to talk like this. And so I want to look at Job 22:30. It says, he will deliver even one who is not innocent, who will be delivered through the cleanness of your hands. So again, grace, right? Atonement. Now, the atonement was, I would argue that the New Testament is, it essentially says that the atonement was already bestowed upon those chosen of God, and so I believe that the blood of Christ was still, actually covered David and everyone else who came before him. And David, in some sense, understood this, which is what's really interesting. Not only did he understand it, but Job understood it, which just speaks to the level of wisdom that God had given them. So always understand that we serve a righteous God, and that righteousness rubs off on us to our benefit. So the second point I want to make is that God's light shines on his chosen. This is another good one. And we're going to look at 1 Kings chapter 15, verse 4, which reads like this: Nevertheless, for David's sake, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem by raising up a son to succeed him and by making Jerusalem strong. And so I guess to give this some context a little bit, we could go back to Deuteronomy, and one of the things that Moses was trying to convey to the Israelites in Deuteronomy is that the importance of obeying the law, right, and being faithful to God, was almost of a I dare say political importance, in the sense that the nation of Israel was supposed to lead the world, right? They were supposed to be the ones to they were supposed to be the light of the world, essentially, right? God's representatives. They were supposed to be the example that everyone else in the world was supposed to follow. And what the promise of that God gives to David is that through you, Israel will continue to be that lamp. And I mean, and that's, so David was in many ways the representative of the promise that God made to them. Part of the importance of the promised land was it was associated with this idea that the Israelites were going to be that they were going to be of a higher status, almost, right, in a sense that they were supposed to be the leaders of the world. And David's line, continuing through the reign of Christ, is representative of this concept, this notion that God's light has been given to us, and as believers, the light of Christ is in us for us to share with the world. I thought that was really interesting, and I hope that makes sense. But the last point, and I'm gonna try to, I don't know, we could do green, I guess. God's strength makes up for your weakness. And this is, we see this throughout, not just in this, in Psalm 18, but throughout the Old Testament. And so we're going to look at Hebrews. We're going to look at some verses from Hebrews 11. And what more shall I say? I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson, and Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice, and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames, and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. I mean, I don't think I could say it better than the writer of Hebrews. David, and that's one of the reasons why David is important is because he represents the frail state of humanity. David was a shepherd, right? I mean, someone who should never have ascended to the king of any entity whatsoever. He was rather small in stature, right? Particularly right when compared to the giant that he slayed, right? David is the embodiment of humankind, and although I mean, he's certainly not incapable, but he is not able to directly confront his enemies, nor is he able to single-handedly overcome obstacles. But God is able to do all of that, and he does so on David's behalf, and he's willing to do that on our behalf. And that's what David is trying to highlight here. So hope you enjoyed this video, and look forward to talking about part 4.